Karen Reb Rudel. Welcome to Paris Live. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to begin with where you're from originally and what brought you to Paris.
I am from a small town called Johnstown, Pennsylvania, that's famous for a great flood of 1889, about an hour from a little town called Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I went to school in Philadelphia, and I studied music and theater. And I came to Europe with a best friend for a 30th birthday trip and a 2-month backpacking trip that now is 21 years I've been here.
Now, we can find out, as you mentioned, you've got music in your history, your interest in comedy, but you also have a flair for storytelling. So these things all converged, and somehow you ended up in the tour guiding business.
Yes.
How did that begin?
Well, strangely enough, I got into a band with a man from the Ivory Coast, and we toured for about 5 years. Sadly, our car broke down, and we were forced to move to the beautiful city of Paris. So I was teaching English and babysitting like most expats. And my parents came to visit, and I took them to Montmartre innocently to show them Montmartre. And we got to the top, and I said, "Oh, look, Mommy, look at this beautiful church." And I kid you not, she looked at me and said, "You would make a fabulous tour guide with all your theater experience." And voila.
And voila, Sight Seeker's Delight was born.
Yes.
20 years ago.
Well,
Was it
no,
been
that
not that long
wasn't
ago?
until 2005.
Okay.
That I started actively giving tours in 2005. And then I got married in 2008 and officially opened the company in 2009.
Wow. Now, what makes your services stand out from the crowd? Because there's a lot on offer. Tourists have a lot to choose from. What
Yes.
makes Sight Seeker's Delight special?
Of course, there's so much competition when it comes to tourism. And I tell my clients, everybody could open a company. And if you find your niche, we could all do great, as we are in the most visited city in country in the world, with I think 90 million people a year who come. And I chose to use actors because A, they can all memorize scripts and then add their own flair. And when you're dealing with clients that are coming from, all over the world, most of my clients are, however, American, you have to be able to turn into a chameleon. You have to make the kids be happy that they're in Paris and not miserable that they're at a museum or seeing this site and that site or this church and that church. You also must make the parents happy that they're on vacation and not dealing with their kids. This is the one time during vacation where the parents get to just enjoy what they're seeing and not be having with the map and looking around. They get to enjoy the time, and the guide is kind of a permanent babysitter, so to speak,
Nice. Nice. Yeah, because you say on your website that your guides are born to entertain. And I was thinking that sort of evoked the idea of people dressing up in costumes. And I mean, maybe they do that, I don't know. But are they doing reenactments or
Not now, not yet. But that is something that is in the works. Always looking for investors, but we would like to turn it into live theater.
Mm-hmm. And you've got about how many people in your team? Six?
Anywhere
7?
between 6 and 8 guides, depending the season, and they're all working actors doing their own thing. And, in high season, I get a lot of people that stay with me. And, I've trained probably over 50 guides in the past 10 years because people come and go and, heartbroken and leave and, whatever it happens.
Life.
Exactly. Life happens, and Paris, either sucks you in or spits you out,
But you're still here. So Paris has got you in its grip.
Yeah, well, I'm French by, I don't want to say, I want to say, but, when you get married, you have to stay here.
Now, you've got some 15 tours advertised on the website. Some of them are new, and it appears that you're constantly updating the offers. I noticed one new one was Eat Like a Parisian. Now,
Yes.
what do Parisians eat?
When we built the tour, we wanted to really show people what the Parisians would eat back in the old days. We have different food tours, so we just cover different times and different topics. So we went with the first meat dish and the first cheese and the first fish dish. And we really we finish at a great cooking school called Cooking with Class in Montmartre. And it's the underground Montmartre tour. So you won't see any monuments. And technically, it should have been called Eat Like Some Old Lady Parisian, because every shop we go to, we have the same little ladies with their grandma caddies getting, one piece of this and one spoonful of that. It's very interesting, but we bump into the same people on the route. And we finish at the cooking school, and we teach you about cooking styles, where things came from, the history of mustard and vinegar and salad eating and things the French have been doing forever, thousands and thousands of years. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we have to talk about salt and why a lot of French food and European food was salted, and the salt taxes, and how the kings, it was a sign of the monarchy. We really delve into a lot of topics on the food tour that are very interesting. And after a glass of wine or two, people don't care what you're saying. They're happy to eat, and they drink up all your information.
That's a good trick. Now, one of the other tours that's relatively new is the Resistance Tour.
Yes.
Is that something people were requesting, or you felt that there was a need to include that aspect?
Yes. I am of the Jewish faith, and I somehow got turned on to do a Jewish tour, which mind-blowingly turned into, we're doing that 4 to 5 times per week for the past 9 years since my little boy was born. And somehow we've had thousands and thousands of survivors and family members on our tour. We've been honored. And that turned into organically learning about the resistance and the people that are here because of the resistance, and the people that have contributions they have made to the world because they survived and their families survived. So it is a brand new tour that we've been working on hard for over a year, whilst me doing my own research for the past 9 years about this. And it's important with the climate of the world today that everybody understands what they might need to do, sadly, in a situation when we don't know what's going to happen next in politics in the world, that we all might need to hide somebody. We might need to get food to somebody. We might need to make fake papers for somebody. So it's a very important subject right now that I think is prevalent in the world.
And coming back to the Jewish history tour, is it a little bit difficult at times to find that balance between being entertaining but also dealing with very somber aspects of history?
It's obviously Jewish history, obviously talking about the Holocaust and the troubles that the Jewish people have been through for 5,780 years, gets very touchy. But it's also one of the reasons you have so many Jewish people in comedy and art and music and theater, because basically it's escapism. And we find lots of doctors and lawyers and finance people on the Jewish tour, and very big thinkers and scientists. But you also have the rest of us that have to take the light on the subject, or we would be crying all the time.
Yeah. So you yourself, is that one of the tours that you are more personally involved in? Because
yes,
obviously you have to share the tours around with your team.
Absolutely. I have 2 other Jewish girls who also give that tour, because we have so many non-Jews who book the Jewish tour, because a lot of people are intrigued right now with World War II history, and also it's very à la mode, like the French would say, very in style to understand what's happening. Sadly, the tour has gone up and down with clients because of the anti-Semitism that we're all facing all over the world. And we get a lot of propaganda from all over the world of people leaving. And it's important to coddle a community, because we do have the third largest Jewish community in the world right here in France.
That's true. So what is probably the most French thing you've ever done or said after all these years living here and being here? Some of your people who come on the tours, they might say, oh, that's, something typically French. They imagine that you've adopted something very French.
Well, I smile way too much, so that's probably not the French part.
Okay, so that might be the American part of you.
Yeah, people always say, how do people know that you're American? I said, well, because I'm smiling. I always tease the French. When you marry a French person, you can basically say whatever you want. But it's... I will always be the American in Paris.
Right.
The Frenchest thing I do is probably eat cheese very often. There's many nights where I don't feel like cooking, and you pull out the cheese drawer, and that's dinner. You would never do that in the United States of America. You know, that would never be possible to just have that for dinner. And also, I don't eat at 5 p.m., so that's another very French thing that we also eat at 7:30, 8 o'clock. And you have to adapt. You have to invest yourself in cultural life when you come to a new country.
Now, Karen, to wrap up our interview, you're going to play a little bit of music for us on the flute in honor of your musical tradition. Do you integrate a bit of flute into your tours sometimes?
I do some surprise wedding proposals, and when we are able to make it the theater tours that I'm dreaming of, I will definitely be playing the flute more than I'll be speaking.
So, Karen Reb Rudel from Sightseeker's Delight Tour Guides, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
This was great.